Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Caroline Bird, and we're back with our Healy Solutions Series. Tonight's topic is going to be on sleep and how Healy can help you with that sleep support. If you guys have any questions during the session, there is a Q&A box down at the bottom, so please feel free to put those questions in there, and Ruth and I will do our best to answer them as we go along. But let me, without further ado, hand it over to our wonderful guest speaker. Nichole Kuechle is back, and she's going to be taking us through tonight's presentation. Take it away, Nichole.
Oh, very, very good. I forget you just told me this too. Do I have control of the slides? I do not, right?
No, that's Ruth. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Just a brief introduction. I'm a board certified holistic health practitioner. Ooh, someone from New Mexico. Yay. Yeah, I love like drop in where you guys are coming from in the chat. It's really fun to see how kind of far and wide we reach with these conversations. I have had a bricks and mortar practice for about 14 years on our own, then switched to fully virtual 3 years ago. And Healy has been a really integral part of that practice as a practitioner and using frequency as, oh, got to be compliant, I'll just say as support for my client programs. And it's just been like a huge, huge help in my own health and in that of my family members. So, on a weekly basis with 28 years of muscle testing experience under my belt and being heavily involved in the foundational wellness community, sleep is a huge conversation. And so these solution series webinars have been really, really fun to talk about the simple basics around what Healy is, how we can use it, and then to really hone in on a topic like this where we all know what that day is like if we've had a bad night's sleep or God forbid, multiple nights of a lack of restorative sleep. So I am ready for the next slide. What is Healy? So I'm all tapped into my Obsidian here. I'm actually running a cell care program from the new Cell Wave programs that I love. It's as you can see, a compact, wearable, personable device, and it's designed to harmonize the body's energetic field. I always talk about that's your 6 foot, personal bubble space around you. And it does that with individualized microcurrent frequency programs. It's a really beautiful blend of, some say science and spirituality, some say science and holistic wellness to provide a really personalized frequency therapy for at-home use. And I've got to say, I'm a big at-home healthcare practitioner in terms of what can I do to educate my families to manage their healthcare from home. And some of that is tools and gadgets, and some of that is just kind of, free and inexpensive things like sitting in the sun for 10 minutes every morning. So I really, really like having this conversation and bringing these tools to the forefront of Healy's conversation of, I believe it is Healy in a Million Homes, which I love. It is considered a class 2 medical device. It's FDA cleared for the relief of acute, chronic, and arthritis pain, as well as muscle soreness. So that's really amazing for people who are maybe a little more scientific and a little more analytical, who want to know that this is an important device that they could have in their homes. It does deliver personalized frequencies to help the body restore its optimal balance, offering a modern approach to holistic wellness. Raise your hand if you know the importance of sleep, right? Or raise your hand if you know what it feels like to not have great sleep. I can always tell in my clients, and even I'll say to my husband, like, how is it that I didn't have anything to drink last night or for the last week? I mean, I probably have 2 alcoholic drinks a year, but that kind of gross nap feeling, right? That groggy, hungover, foggy, just, low vitality the morning after a terrible night's sleep. And that is the absolute worst. So we know that sleep is the foundation of physical and mental health. It's the foundation of health in general. That restorative sleep supports the immune system, it balances our hormones, and promotes healing. And from a practitioner perspective, all of the women I talk to, every day and every week, it's all about their hormones. Like, I think my hormones are out of balance. I think my hormones are out of balance. Well, they either have, children with special needs, or they have children who, can't fall asleep at night on their own. And so it's musical beds, or they have high toxic burden, right? There are so many more reasons why things feel off other than just hormone imbalance. And so if their kids are off, or if their spouse works the third shift, or if their dog is sick, right, they're not sleeping. Um, we need brain power. Sleep strengthens memory, learning, problem solving, and creativity. I call this bandwidth, like having a really stretchy rubber band that you can move in any direction and that you can rely on. That's your brain power. That's like your cognitive ability. That is your adaptability. That is your resilience, right? That is your capacity. And when we don't sleep, we got nothing to work with. From an emotional balance perspective, adequate rest regulates our mood, reduces stress, and again, it builds that resilience. We're stretchier, right? We have more to work with when we've had a good night's sleep. And not to mention peak performance. So whether you're like in the workplace, whether you are on, an athletic team. I had a D1 rower for a couple of years, and watching her performance has been just a phenomenal experience. So our sleep fuels our energy. Like we have to look at not just, oh, I eat well and, and I run 7 miles a day, or I walk, 20 minutes a day. Like it is so much more about a necessary pillar to really have in your optimal health and well-being. The need for sleep varies. On average, it's about 7.5 hours per day. I know in my practice, I really see 7 to 9 hours is kind of a sweet spot for most adults. Depending on their age and their life situation, 4 to 12 hours of sleep may be required either in one go or spread out over the day. I'm always a big fan of more than less. Sleep is vital and it serves to regenerate the body and process the impressions of the day. So impressions meaning like, like what happened and how is your body either hanging onto like or processing and outflowing those different stressors. Disturbed sleep can throw us completely off balance, and it can even make us sick in the long run. Longer lasting sleep disturbances can lead to physical fatigue, health deficits, and a weakening of the immune system. And we know that, right? Because how many of us were like crash and burners, right? Where you're just like, go, 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 because I think I'm high energy. But that high energy is often like, we're like endurers and we're, trying to survive life, and we go, 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 go. And then we have vacation or we have a long 3-day weekend. And then what happens? We crash. That's that weakening of the immune system. That is that lack of flexibility and capacity and resilience. So that's the impact that poor sleep quality can have. And it can have this negative emotional effect and strain our psyche, which then, as we know, like strains our relationships. And that can be very frustrating for everybody in your household. How frequency connects to sleep support. I keep looking down because I'm watching this beautiful cell wave program. Love it. Showing up here on my phone. Our brains operate at different frequencies depending on our state, whether we're alert or relaxed, drowsy, or in a deep sleep. And sleep is associated with slower brainwave frequency, so that theta and delta space. And high stress keeps you in this sort of stuck high frequency alert state. So if you ever recognize when you wake up in the evening, you notice, wake up in the middle of the night, it's often like, oh, my heart is racing. I feel really unsettled. And I'm, like the dog barks or something, right? Or the child wakes you up and you're like, I'm awake, and you can't come back down from that as easily, right? Sleep is closely tied to melatonin and cortisol cycles. During sleep, the body's in a reparative and restorative state, and that happens both on a tissue level and on a cellular level. Frequency stimulation, like sound, vibration, or microcurrent, can encourage parasympathetic activity, which is your rest and digest mode. So it's kind of taking you from up here and just that nice breath and rest in, right? Like when we're looking at a meal, when we sit down to have our dinner or our breakfast or our lunch, most of us think that like, oh, I take my digestive enzyme, therefore my digestive system is working. But did you know that simply sitting down and taking a second to just look at your food actually starts that digestive process up here in the brain. It's kind of the same thing. If we don't give our bodies an opportunity to move into that rest and digest mode, we can't get out of that parasympathetic state. We can't get out of the sympathetic state and into the kind of energy that our body actually needs in order to kind of welcome the invitation of sleep. And this is where frequencies come in, right? They can help synchronize the body's natural circadian rhythms. People are always surprised to hear that there's like, they think circadian rhythm and they think like, overnight when they're sleeping, but there's more than one circadian rhythm. I mean, just consider like you have a daytime rhythm and you have a nighttime rhythm. And most people don't understand how they run that first hour or two of their day upon waking has an incredible impact, either negative or positive, on that PM, that nighttime, that overnight circadian rhythm. So the frequencies help us promote deeper and more restorative rest. Certain frequencies are thought to support that mitochondrial function and recovery, enhancing that natural repair process that does happen overnight when we're resting. How Healy supports sleep. Okay, so Healy offers targeted IMF, again, individual microcurrent frequency programs that can bring about, balanced sleep. That's actually one of the programs. We call it, like, the description is bioenergetic harmonization of the sleep phase. Sleep is another program, harmonization of negative influences on sleep quality. Bed rest, this is a huge favorite of mine. And this one is more harmonization of the bioenergetic field to promote a relaxed mood. I often see from a muscle testing perspective that when people are struggling with that low vagal tone, kind of that like tired vagus nerve, which has them in kind of a state of that kind of hyper-regulated, overwhelmed, and wired and tired, that the bed rest program is such a phenomenal program to run late in the evening or even right as they're falling, or right as they're crawling into bed. And then the flow program. This is actually, the flow comes into one of like my 10-year-old son's top 3 favorite programs. And this is more bioenergetic activation through supporting the flow in the body. And there are so many more programs. And in which we can support sleep. And just very quickly, I think the digital nutrition mixtures are so highly overlooked when it comes to how we can balance out our energy in order to bring upon that super sweet, soft stage before we even like get into our bed and before we even fall asleep, and to support that. So that is really a 72 program not to be skipped over when we're talking about sleep. Research-backed wellness. Studies show that microcurrent therapy, which is how I'm using my Healy right now, can positively impact sleep by addressing underlying stress, burnout, and nervous system imbalance. It does help regulate that autonomic nervous system, which is both the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, easing the body into a more calm state while also enhancing resilience and reducing the impact of anxiety or overwork. Again, takes you kind of from here all the way down here and lands you into your body. And just like tuning an instrument, frequencies help tune the body into the right state for restful, restorative sleep. Success stories. Now, I think this is a video here on the left. I'm just going to give you all a few seconds.
Hi, I'm Patrick Ryan, and I'm the proud owner of a Healy Professional. And today I'm going to share with you a little bit of my experience. I'm a light sleeper, and so I was very happy to see that Healy offers these various programs. In fact, I discovered quite a few program groups that offer some support for sleeping aid. And beside the job and sleep program group, there are a few more. And so I tried a few, and I think everybody is different, and everybody need to assess what works best. And but today, I want to be a little bit more specific about my situation. I'm a light sleeper, especially before the moon cycle, before the full moon cycle. whether it's full moon or new moon. The week prior that phase, I have really a little bit trouble. I'm waking up, I don't sleep very deep. And so what I found out in the bioenergetic defense program group, I found a program called Planet, and that program seems to help. So what I do, I use it prior going to sleep, and run that program, and it seems to support a lot more. My sleep is deeper, and I don't wake up as much. So that works for me. You try it out and let me know if that works for you. Thank you.
Oh, that's a good one. I've never considered that. What I will add to that is a lot of what I see with clients that week before the full moon is that parasitic energy that creates kind of restlessness, agitation, some irritation. And the Power of Three program is so phenomenal. The classic energetic comes up a lot for people. Rebalance comes up a lot for people. So, as you know, like this conversation could go on and on because there are so many beautiful programs. I'll get to that question toward the end. This testimonial is really beautiful. I was just reading through this as he was sharing his video. This is from Claire Yang, and she says, when I was younger, I never had any troubles with sleep. But about 7 years ago, I began experiencing difficulty falling asleep after midnight. Sometimes it would take me 1 to 3 hours to drift off, and other times I would wake up in the middle of the night. I suspected it was due to menopause. Since using Healy's sleep, relax, and coherence programs, I've been able to fall asleep more easily and enjoy a full night's rest. I'm truly grateful for how Healy supports my overall health and well-being every day. I am going to add to that the coherence program is so phenomenal for so many different reasons. And if we consider the vulnerable space that we take up when we are sleeping, right? We trust if we have a partner in the room, like we have a deep sense of trust and safety. Maybe we could be in or out of coherence with that partner. We could be in or out of coherence with the room that we're in, with like textiles, maybe if you're sleeping more on like polyester sheets instead of like cotton sheets. Like if you really think about how deeply and how many directions our coherence or lack thereof can bounce off around us, that could make or break our sleep. So it's a phenomenal program. And just a quick share here myself. I have been someone who has never slept well, always been a light sleeper. But what I didn't make the connection to kind of for and of until just a couple of years ago is the childhood trauma that I experienced. And so one thing that we've just recently uncovered, my therapist and I, is that like there's a subconscious, I'm actually afraid to go to sleep at night. Like, yesterday, years old, as a grown adult, to have that awareness and that awakening, like, oh, that's what's going on when I wake up, at 11:30 and I feel myself experiencing anxiety. So understanding why for me was really huge, but knowing that I had this incredible tool that I could just turn over and make sure I turned on and turn on a program, and it helps me go right back into, perhaps a state of coherence, and then I'm able to fall asleep. Oh, I love this. This is like biohacking central. This is like stack your habits. This is just my absolute favorite. So here's the beautiful thing about the Healy. So for example, right now I'm sharing my experience. I get this incredible opportunity to feel so, humble and honored to sort of guest host this conversation. But it's really important to me how my communication lands over there with you. It's really important to me how my communication lands with Healy Corporate. And so this is like when I'm teaching, I use the Healy so that I can be mindful and grounded and centered over here in my energy. Because if I can come from that place, the communication is going to be so much better. I can build rapport without even having anyone physically in the room with me, right? So that for me amplifies the results of like this opportunity and this experience. So it will enhance whatever it is you're already doing. All right. So Healy's a great complement to any of the things we're already doing, but consistency is important. That's like the biggest piece with anything, right? You can't take a supplement one day and expect to have results. You need to be consistent. So to really look for the kind of transformation that most of us are here for or here seeking, I would definitely recommend 1 to 2 programs a day, consistently over time. You could run your Healy during your mindfulness practices, whether that's breath work, whether that's, sitting with your journal in the morning and a cup of coffee. It's like my favorite thing to do. Run a little, analysis, see what's going on, run a program and just get grounded into my day and feel really clear and feel really on purpose, is a phenomenal feeling. To pair it and support it with our nourishing foods. So we eat because we want the energy and we want the vitality. So we know that we need quality food choices in order to have ourselves feel really great. Very quick story. I was working with a brand new client yesterday, and I asked her if it would be okay if I put her, into the Healy as a client and if I would run this analysis, and she said yes. And I said, interesting. The very first 2 things that are coming up was, I think it was called food cleansing and eating. I had never seen these programs show up on an analysis for someone before. And I got one of those like, you're kidding, right? And she went into this whole thing about this whole thing that she had been having go on about food. It just blew my mind. So you've got this very intuitive little tool that you get to use to amplify everything you're doing in your life. When I go for walks, when I go to lift, I have the fitness program on, stamina, performance, things like that to support my movement. So whether a big workout or, more intentional movement, say like a yoga class, it could totally be your sidekick. How we are empowered through frequency. Healy supports our body, your body's natural ability to maintain energy and vitality by encouraging balance and flow. It helps you feel more energized, more centered, and aligned throughout your day, supporting your well being from the inside out. How do we share this feeling? It's so easy. For me, I'm just talking to people all day, every day, and I kind of can't keep it like the excitement under wraps. So here's one way you could do this. You're experiencing like emotional freedom, and you get to help others do the same. And what do I mean by emotional freedom? It's like ridiculous, like joy exuding from every pore when you get to use a tool like this and have the kind of experience that I've had. When you share Healy, you're definitely sharing more than a product. Like it's not about the product, it's like what the experience of working with the product makes available to you. It's peace of mind, it's feeling empowered, it's I am what I call like a possibilitarian, right? Like really anything shows up as possible to me, and using the Healy really grounds me into that opportunity. And when you share about Healy, like when you refer just 2 people who purchase a Healy Pro, right, which is the one that the gentleman in the video testimonial just held up and showed you, and the ones that we're seeing in this picture, you can earn up to $726 in bonuses. So you get to share wellness, you get to share inspiration, you get to share well-being, and this also gets to lead to, really meaningful financial opportunities for yourself. The more you share, the more you can earn and unlock those additional commissions, and a lot of times like really beautiful incentives, like earning other devices, right? But more importantly, you're making a difference by changing lives. And I think at the end of the day, that's why we're here having this conversation today, is because we all want to make a difference both for ourselves and those around us. If you are ready to experience this for yourself, if you're ready to shift that emotional state, if you're ready to lighten your mood, feel more like you again, if you're ready to sleep through the night, next to your snoring partner, right? We can explore how Healy can support that unique wellness journey that is yours and yours only. There are special offers that may be available today. So definitely ask the person who invited you to this conversation. They are the ones, go to them and ask them about that, and they can guide you through and into that conversation. Ah, that was okay. I should have said goodbye.
No, that's okay. It's all good. Thank you so much, Nichole. God, you're so knowledgeable. It's so great to hear from you. We do
So
have a
fun.
couple of questions. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording,
Sure.
and we are gonna answer a couple of these questions here in the chat.
Yeah, let me